Opportunistic, still rubbing panels as they go together. It's folded the wing mirror in on Gerardo's car.
Misano is such a difficult circuit for these guys to get right. There's a lot of start-stop sections around the back. It's a very, very quick section as well.
It's a fantastic start from the 23. They're 4 wide there by the look of it.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening and welcome to Chaz Draycott Media and welcome to the 10th round of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. My name is Chaz Draycott and I'm delighted to be back with this amazing series. We had a week off due to the extreme heat that we had in the UK last time out. And fortunately, everybody in the championship has been very accommodating in moving this back for 1 week, which means we will, for the first time in the championship's history, short history I must add, get 2 race meetings in 2 weeks, which will be nice. So straight away next time round we will be racing at Monza. We have Ryan Penny in the chat saying, I want Peter Mackay. Well, I'm afraid not, mate. I'm afraid he's not around. You'll have to deal with me this evening, unfortunately. But we are at one hell of a racing venue. Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari, also known to you and me as Imola. This fantastic place is a real joy to visit. I've been very lucky to be there twice in the last 12 months. And honestly, if you ever get a chance to go, I implore you to do so. It's a great place to be. Epic racing here as well. But a massive challenge for the drivers. So I'm excited to see how they cope tonight. Looking at the championship standings coming into this one, Simon Povey has quite the extensive lead in the championship, but in what is one of the kindest and most heartwarming pieces of sportsmanship I've seen in a long time in sim racing, Simon has opted out of racing this evening. He's going to have a night off because Ed May is not able to make it this evening. He's moving back home from university, and we wish him all the best with that. It's great to hear from Ed and as well, and obviously see how well he's doing, and of course know that he's out the other end now. He's got through the light at the end of the tunnel, bless him. But it's still amazing sportsmanship from Simon Povey. Like I say, the fact that Ed isn't around tonight, Simon doesn't want to wrap up the championship in a way that is very simple, you know, without Ed here. He wants that fight to go to the end, which is lovely to see. James Cummings doing an amazing job in 3rd place in the championship as well, without winning a race this season. He's been an absolute star. He's ahead of Mark Baxter-Jones, who currently holds 4th, but we don't think we're going to see Mark for the rest of the season now. He's going to be very busy, and a number of the drivers in that top 10 alone are not going to be around much until the end of the season, which is a bit of a shame, but that's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. This is the team's championship standings. Now, Tall and Taller Motorsport looking quite comfortable at the very top right now, but to be honest, H Motorsport could turn that around and go chasing after them, in all honesty. 11 tenths Racing Team A and Racing Team B very close together, but only 4 points separating 11 tenths Racing Team B with DBTRS Racing. So plenty to keep an eye on in each of the championships as we head into the final couple of rounds. So we look at cars on track for the first time this evening, and this is Dominic Brennan in the number 212 Privateer Porsche. It's going to be interesting to see a new name, I'm sure, take a race victory this evening. There's only 3 drivers that have won races so far this season: Mark Baxter-Jones, Ed May and Simon Povey. So we are guaranteed a first-time winner tonight, and Dominic is certainly doing his best to put himself up there in this one. James Cummings could also be a contender as well. We've got Stephen Haley currently 2nd in practice. Gary Tall is in 4th place. But just have a look at these curbs here through the chicane. Fantastic commitment through there by James Cummings. There's so many drivers that could take a good result tonight. Mark Johnson, well, he's going to hopefully forget what happened at the Nürburgring. We won't go back over that one, but it's good to see Mark back out tonight. He's racing in this gorgeous TF livery with the 4 Horsemen Racing colours down the side. In the Aston Martin Vantage, he moves up to 5th place just before the end of practice. Only a few more minutes left to go. No driving in the dark this evening, Jakob. No, the session has been set so that we get the sort of sunset finish to the race and long shadows for the evening, but it's not going to be complete darkness by the end. We may just about get headlights before the race completes, but what we tend to do in the championship is check what the late afternoon setting would be, because these sessions are in total about 2 hours and 20 minutes, because we have an hour's practice, and then we have a 20-minute qualifying session, and then an hour's race. So they do take quite the chunk of time out. If you put it on late afternoon, you're pretty much guaranteed to be running in complete darkness by the end. What we do is check what that sort of time frame looks like, when the sunset will be, and so on. We check late afternoon, what the sim chooses that to be, and then we move it back an hour. We set the specific time to be 1 hour earlier So we just get that extra little bit of daylight, but you get this gorgeous golden glow effect over the circuit, which is really nice to see. And the drivers have all been big fans of the changing conditions as these race evenings go on. Now there is Stephen Kershaw just making his way down into Tamburello once more. This is going to be his 22nd lap of the session. Sean Gardner in the chat. Good to see you, mate. Hope you're well. Jakub Szymanski taking notes. Of course, mate. Take as many notes as you need. There's many a thing can be done with the beautiful lighting here on iRacing. Now we have the day-night cycle. You get long shadows all the way through and that golden glow without completely going into darkness. Let's ride on board with Dominic Brennan. The Porsche 718 Cayman Club Sport GT4, or GT4 Club Sport I believe it's called, making one hell of a racket. Down to Rivazza, an incredibly difficult part of the circuit. Double apex left-hander. It is two separate corners really, but the whole section is known as Rivazza. Dominic currently just over a quarter of a second ahead of Stephen Haley, who's only 1,000th of a second ahead of James Cummings. It's remarkably close between those guys. And here is the huge run down towards Tamburello. You've got a long old time to think about what you're going to do when you get there as well. And it's certainly a corner that demands a lot of concentration. Dominic really throwing the car around. You can see him gliding through each of the apexes there, floating the rear end of the car through. But Dominic's been a real star in the championship since joining, actually. His first race was at Silverstone, I believe, where he got third place. He then got third place at Zandvoort, the race after that. And then again, third place at Zolder. At Spa-Francorchamps, he had an incident with Lewis Ward and dropped out of the points. He was classified 21st, but didn't score any points. And then straight away, when he returned at the Nürburgring, he didn't race at Hockenheim. Actually, sorry, he did. He DNF'd quite early on, but when he raced at Hockenheim, he got second place. So in the races where he finishes on the podium. As whoa, car off. David Patching bringing the grass to the gravel. He's gone backwards off there and we'll jump straight back to the pits. Not long left of the session now, so the drivers will probably be ending this one very shortly. This is James Cummings just making his way out of the final corner and heading across the line. I don't know who placed that gantry there or who decided for that camera to point that way, but still, I prefer if it didn't. He goes across the line on the not quite straight here at Imola. And on the massive run down to Tamburello, hard on the brakes. You've got to be so careful of those sausage curbs. They're going to be one of the main talking points this evening. Off tracks, i.e. incident points, and the curbs are going to be big talking points. Here's the very beefy Aston Martin V8 Vantage of John Roberts, although there it goes. As qualifying now gets underway. We have 19 cars out tonight. I think that's equal to the smallest grid we've had, unfortunately. We had 24 cars at Spa, and then for the Nürburgring we had 18. So we've actually got one more on what we had at the Nürburgring 2 weeks ago. Tango in the chat, good to see you, mate. Greetings from Denmark. Hope you're well. Now, Oliver Carwadine and Gary Tall are the first two cars out of the pit lane. Gary representing the solo Tall and Taller Motorsport machine this evening, of course, with Simon Povey not being on track. Gary looking to use this as a chance to score more big points. He's had quite the lively season so far in the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. As he comes out of Tosa, back up the hill. You can see just how steep it is. We'll go on board with him. It's almost a blind corner as you get up to the top of the hill, because the crest is quite late up there, and then you dive all the way back down towards Acqua Minerale. Probably the most difficult corner on the circuit. You're going through a right kink and then trying to get the car settled on the brakes. And then also, when coming off the brakes, get it turned in nice and tidy up the top of the hill. Now we have Variante Alta. 2 big curbs, but these GT4 cars, they can absorb the curbs quite well. They absorb them in varying difficulties, though, due to their natural style. The McLaren, not really a big fan of them, but the Aston Martin, quite a tall car, does handle them quite nicely. It bounces around. We're going to stick with Gary Tall, as he's going to be the first car to cross the line and go on to a fast lap here. Simon Povey in the chat, good to see you, mate. Honestly, once again, your sportsmanship has not gone unappreciated. You are a legend, mate. You are a legend indeed. But this, of course, is his teammate, Gary Tall, representing Tall and Taller Motorsports. And the fast laps begin then. Hard onto the brakes into Tamburello. Left, and then right, and then try and get the weight transfer all managed. Flick it over to the left once again. Now, interesting to note that Aston Martin are now making a V12 Vantage version of this shape. I was lucky enough to commentate on one on the weekend at Carfest North. And it is a remarkable, remarkable car. It's got a bit of a longer snout on it to fit the humongous engine in it. And a very strange rear wing that sort of swoops down to the sides of the car. But yeah, V12 Vantage was cool before, and even now it's a super, super amazing machine. Fausto Pinto in the chat as well. Good to see you, mate. Good to have you with us. Look forward to seeing you back out on track, hopefully in the near future. This looks like a tidy first lap here from Gary Tall. He's just keeping it between the lines, doing all he needs to do to get one on the board early in the session, because having a banker lap up there is very important. He's done personal best in sectors 1 and 2. He's not improved in sector 3. So his outlap was clearly pretty good. He has a bit of a bounce and a wiggle on the exit of Aqua Minerale. Sorry, Variante Alta. I apologise. He's going to make his way down towards Rivazza now. That iconic sweep down to the right. Hard onto the brakes. Nice and smooth. Oh, it really bounces over that curb on the inside. He uses all the curb on the outside. Back end tries to kick out slightly all the way up the revs. And across the line is going to go Gary Tall. Let's see what sort of time he puts in. Looks like it's going to be a 1:52.0 or 1:52.1. It's a 1:51.952. Nice time. Stuart Clark goes second fastest. Oliver Carwadine is going to be next. He goes third fastest in the McLaren. Who's going to be next across the line? Paul Goffin. He goes up to third. Then it's Philip Hopley. Rob Sharp goes fastest in the Porsche. He does a 1:51.566. Great stuff by Rob Sharp. John Roberts is going to be next across the line in his Aston Martin. Where's he going to go? Doesn't look like a valid lap time for John Roberts, so it doesn't put a time on the board. Hines and Ralph Mayer both crossed in the line as well, about 0.6 of a second between those two. James Cummings is next up. Stephen Haley goes up there in second place, only 24 thousandths off Rob Sharp, and look at that by James Cummings. Wow, nearly 0.5 of a second quicker than everybody else. The original pole position time by Gary Tall is beaten by nearly 8.5 of a second. James Cummings, wow, he means business there. Here's boss man Andrew Marston across the line. What time can he do? It's a 1:54.5. 3.4 seconds off, but still beating some of the other competition. Mark Johnson next. He shuffles the Aston Martin to the line. Looks like a 51.7 is going to be on the cards for him, although it's not a valid... Oh, no, it is a valid time. Apologies. 51.713 puts him in fourth place at the moment, just ahead of Gary Tall. But what a fantastic lap that is by James Cummings. Honestly, that's a really stunning time. Looks like Stuart Clark is going to improve as well. Gary Tall's improved in sectors 1 and 2. It's coming through Rivazza. That looks like a bit of a slow entrance to our picture, though. Wondering whether he's just lining up to have another full chat lap, and maybe this was a bit of a cool-down one. Oliver Carwadine has also improved in all 4 sectors on his lap. He's 1.8 seconds off at the moment. Let's see what Gary does. He goes second fastest by just a couple of thousandths over Rob Sharp. What does Stuart Clark do? Does he improve? Didn't look like it. Carwadine goes 5th. Identical lap time to Mark Johnson, but clearly the nanoseconds are different. Rob Sharp's done a purple sector 1, but he stays in 3rd, and Dominic Brennan pushes him down to 4th. Dominic Brennan goes fastest. A number of purple sectors. It's a 1:50.999 for Dominic Brennan, so he's the only driver to go under a 1:51. Stephen Haley's done a purple sector 3. but no improvements anywhere else on the lap by the look of it. Does he improve overall? No, he does not. So the SimSport Racing International machine does not make an improvement there. We've got Jared Coleman just going to finish his lap in car 64. In the Aston Martin, he crosses the line now. He's not got a time on the board yet. And he still will not, because that doesn't seem like a valid lap time to me. Steve Kershaw, the only other driver not to have put a valid time in yet. There he goes, up to 9th place. 152.373. Got more improvement coming in by Mark Johnson by the look of it. Green sectors 3 and 4. Does he improve on his time and beat Oliver Carwadine? No, he does not. Oliver doing a great job at the moment, being the only McLaren inside the top 10. Now, let's not forget, you get points all the way down to 20th place in this championship. So, as long as all the drivers finish tonight, well, as long as any driver finishes, they should be getting points, to be honest with you. Andy Hopley says good evening from Glasgow. Good to see you, Andy. Good to see you, mate. Hope you're well. Tripping over my own words a little bit, admittedly. Now, Gary Tall has improved in the 4th sector, but not the 5th. No improvement overall by the look of it. Stuart Clark is next up. He's just crossed the line now. 3 green sectors from him. Surely that's an improvement. No. Stuart does not put a faster lap on the board, but Dominic Brennan surely has. Purple final sector. Again, no. Philip Hopley, he jumps right up to 8th position. Great stuff from Philip. Good to have him in the championship as well, while his son watches on from Glasgow. He runs wide out of Tamburello on the exit, but still is pushing hard. Thank you to all of you that are tuning in, whether it be across Facebook, YouTube or Twitch tonight. We're on all 3 channels once again. It's good to have you with us. Good to see Mr. Price in the chat as well, saying, I'm not seeing enough CDM eSport liveries in the series. Recruit more hedgehogs. Yes, indeed. For anyone that's missed it, I've recently started my own team within sim racing. It's only for a bit of fun, basically. I just have a couple of people running the liveries when they're not sort of attached to a certain team in a championship. And it's Spontex CDM Esports. Spontex have been really cool about the whole idea. I asked for permission to run their logos, and now we have a little fun team with their name as the sort of title partner of it, which is really cool. But yeah, there are a few people I've chosen to sort of run liveries across different leagues that I broadcast and watch. And look at this, speaking of watching, Dominic Brennan, we need to watch him, because right now he's got 2 purple sectors on the board on this lap that he's on. He's just over a 1/10 of a second ahead of James Cummings, and then Mark Johnson's a few tenths back. But Dominic looking to improve even more. He's got a bit of slipstream in front of him there. I think that's Rob Sharp, isn't it? That's giving him that. He's not improved in Sector 4, though, so that doesn't look as tidy there. Let's see what it's like when he comes to the line, though. The slipstream's not massive in these cars. As Stuart Clark does a purple final sector and moves up to 3rd. 151.284 is a really good lap. Dominic Brennan doesn't improve in the final sector, but surely overall he does. Wow. Nearly half a second, over half a second improvement by Dominic Brennan. That is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Unbelievable. 150.454. 0.648 of a second quicker than anybody else. Ralph Mayer's just been off the road and gone back in. We've got João Estevez still out there this evening, by the way. Stephen Haley goes 3rd fastest now, just over 3/4 of a second off Brennan. But we have João Estevez in the Petrol Tuga BMW, the only BMW in the field tonight, as we wait for his teammate Fausto Pinto to rejoin us on the grid. He's been having issues with his wheel as of late, so he's had a replacement sent, but unfortunately just won't be in time to make this round of the championship. Hopefully we'll see him in future ones. Andy Marston moves up the order. He's just gone up to 17th place with a 154.211. He's the second of our McLarens in the field. It's quite a nice split at the moment between the Porsches and the Aston Martins. Stephen Haley is the highest placed Aston. It's been very, very close between everyone in the top 10. I mean, if you look at where Mark Johnson is, as he hops and skips and rattles his way over the curbs, he's only a couple of thousandths ahead of Gary Tall. Himself and Robert Sharp only separated by a couple as well. It's very close there. But what a fantastic lap that is by Dominic Brennan. Really solid job. Stuart Clark trying to improve. He's done a faster Sector 4. I don't think he's going to improve overall on this lap unless it's an absolutely dynamite sector 5. It's no improvement there. No, it seems like that 4th sector was not enough. And as Simon has rightly pointed out, the scary thing about Dom is that he literally doesn't turn a lap in between races. That is frightening. Philip Hopley moves up into 8th place. Replaces Oliver Carwadine, pulls over at the side of the road pretty instantly. João Estevez has just moved up as well. And John Roberts goes up to 10th. Actually, I don't think he jumped up there. I think he just stayed where he was, didn't he? He just improved on his own time, didn't gain position from it. Stephen Haley, he crosses the line. Also improves, but he's only 9 thousandths of a second off James Cummings. Oh, it's so close for Stephen. As Gary Tall moves up into 4th place for Tall and Taller Motorsport. That's more like it. He's only 8 thousandths ahead of Stuart Clark. Wow. Very close between all these guys. Inside the top 10. But Dominic Brennan, unbelievably quick at the moment. What a fantastic time that is to be top so far. And he's done another purple sector too. There's the gorgeous Porsche of Heinz Meyer. Heinz doing an amazing job this season at providing all of the awards and medals and so on, thanks to Crockery Direct. Himself and Ralph have both been true heroes this season and a real solid support for the Sim Racing magazine community. Now Dominic Brennan's done a purple sector too, but nothing else on this lap is an improvement so far. So we wait to see whether he can do anything out of the final corner, completely sideways. I'm sure he's lost all of his time there. He goes across the line. And I don't think that's going to be an improvement. It's a 151.1 by the look of it. Love that shot as they go under the bridge. Stephen Kershaw moves inside the top 10, just displaces John Roberts. He moves the Porsche just a little bit further up. He's only 9 thousandths ahead of John Roberts. Got a lot of cars separated by less than 10 thousandths of a second. It's brilliant. We've got Ryan Penny currently in 19th place as James Cummings puts in a purple sector 4. Here's Ryan in car 99, hard onto the brakes into Rivazza. It's just a couple of tenths of a second off David Patching ahead of him. Makes his way out of the last corner. Love the livery on that car. It looks so retro, doesn't it? Jared Coleman moves up into 14th place. 152.819 for him. Again, he's only 12 thousandths off João Estevez ahead of him. It's an improvement by Ryan Penny. Puts him up into 16th place. So 153.771. And again, he's only 8 thousandths ahead of Ralph Mayer. Ed May in the chat urging Simon to go and race. Again, the sportsmanship between both of these guys, absolutely awesome. It's mega to have them as our two front runners in the championship. There's James Cummings making his way round. Dominic Brennan's done a purple sector 3 and he's improved on his own time in sector 4. Could we see an even bigger improvement from Dominic Brennan? He's already over 6 tenths clear at the top of the pile. He doesn't need to go any faster. Let's see what he can do. It's been very impressive. Can he improve again in the final sector? No. Does he improve overall? Oh, just misses out. 150.577. So still a decent lap time. Paul Goffin will be hoping for more than 12th place from this session. He's done a decent sector 1, better than any that he's done before, but no improvement there. Stephen Haley's done a purple sector 4. He's also improved in his first sector. Let's see what he can do as he crosses the line. Is it an improvement? No, it's not. James Cummings also trying to improve from second position, trying to get that pole time. But no improvement from him either. David Patching and Gary Tall not improving either. Ralph Mayer currently down in 17th spot, just behind Ryan Penny. And another stunning livery from Fragile Crockery on board. Takes a wide line across the start finish. No improvement from him. Now what can Mark Johnson do? He's currently 6th in the Aston Martin. The third Aston Martin on the grid so far. And it is an improvement by Mark, but not enough to move him up a place. He remains in 6th. We've only got a couple of minutes left to go, and Dominic Brennan is still putting in purple sectors. He's just not improving enough over the rest of the lap to make the whole thing add up to a quick enough time. Into Rivazza. It looked a lot more tidy out of the final corner that time, didn't it? Didn't look like the car wanted to step away as much. Across the line for Dominic Brennan. It's a purple final sector. Is that enough to improve overall? It is. A 150.355 absolutely decimates the competition. 3/4 of a second clear of everybody. Unbelievable. Rob Sharp goes 4th fastest. Well done to Rob. Nice improvement. And we have 3 cars inside the top 4 that are oh so close together. Another improvement by Oliver Carwadine. He's 8th now. There's mere thousandths between a bunch of them. Stephen Haley goes 2nd. Right near the end, Stephen Haley goes 2nd fastest. Simon Povey saying he's watching Stranger Things with the wife and he's got Chaz on his lap. Gary Tall. Gary Tall goes 2nd fastest. There's a reason to jump up, Simon. Gary Tall goes 2nd with a 150.95. Solid lap by Gary. Just over half a second down, but Dominic Brennan, what an absolute star in this session he has been. Ralph Mayer is about to improve by the look of it. He's done 3 personal bests. And he's 15th now, 152.897. John Roberts about to get to the line. He won't be happy with 11th place so far. He'll be hoping for more. Fausto Pinto pointing out there that his teammate, actually, João Esteves, has not run with us for 3 months. It's been a long, long time since we've had him on the grid. And Dominic Brennan is again doing purple sectors. He's done a purple sector 2 and a purple sector 4. Is he going to go even faster than a 150.355? I dare even begin to speculate what sort of time this could be. And he's doing this without slipstream as well, I may add. He's just been so smooth and so fast everywhere. Oh, it's a 151. Sorry, 150.4. Oh, he has done it. It's a 150.306. Normally in the sim and in our timing software, as you see it there, watch when Paul Goffin crosses the line. Watch the time that's ticking down on the left of that little box at the bottom. Where it stops, you normally take a second off, and that's the time they get. So it'll be about a 154.2. And he hasn't improved, but that is honestly amazing by Dominic Brennan. A 150.306. That's crazy. Ralph Mayer, he's done 2 green sectors. So actually David Patching's done a green sector 4, so he's hoping to improve in the dying moments here of this session. This is going to be the last lap for a number of drivers. Does Patching improve? He does not, unfortunately. Ralph Mayer trying to get more. The checkered flag will come out now. So Ralph will be the first driver across the line to bring out the checkered flag. No improvement in the final sector. Is it enough to improve overall on that lap? No, it is not. Mark Johnson next up. He's done a green middle sector, but nothing else is quicker. No improvement for him. A 151.561. John Roberts, nothing there either. Jared Coleman, he's at the final corner trying to beat a 50.3, but he knows that lap is not going to be good enough to improve. Dominic Brennan has done 2 more purple sectors on this final lap. Is he going to round out this session by being an absolute demon? He needs the one lap where it all comes together. He keeps alternating which sectors he gets purple. Oh, he's going to run wide. He's had a bit of a wiggle coming into the final corner. Goes for the line, though. He knows that this could be very, very quick. Hugs the wall on the right-hand side. It's a 150.306 to beat for Dominic Brennan. And he has done... Oh, it's a 150.419. Dominic, you were so entertaining, but just not quite beating that time at the end. That was amazing. Oh, no, and Oliver Carwadine makes a mistake out of the final corner. He's into the pits. Stephen Haley hasn't improved on this lap by the look of it, but he's going to go for the line and complete this lap. David Patching hasn't improved on this lap either. 151.1 for Stephen Haley. a few tenths off his best time. Now are we going to see David Patching? Oh, runs a little bit wide out the final corner. The car swings itself over to the left-hand side. Goes for the line. I don't think it's going to be enough, unfortunately, for Patching to bring himself off the bottom of the table at 154.784. And that will conclude our qualifying session here in round 10 of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. And it is Dominic Brennan that is going to take pole position in fantastic fashion at the beautiful Italian circuit. Stephen Haley is still out there on the circuit somewhere, but the session has concluded. And the flag came out before he was able to start another final lap. So this will not count no matter what he does. And in just a moment, the session will tick over. Hope you're all enjoying the show so far. Don't forget to like the video if you are enjoying what you see. And of course, subscribe to Chaz Draycott Media if you are not already. Got plenty of vlogs, Gran Turismo videos and all sorts coming up in the near future. I have been vlogging again, I'm grateful to say. Been given the chance to have my camera around with me and record what I've been doing, so hopefully you can join me on some of those. Right then, here's your grid. Dominic Brennan on pole position, starting ahead of Gary Tall with Stephen Haley and James Cummings on row 2. Then it's Rob Sharp alongside Stuart Clark, Mark Johnson and Oliver Carwadine on row 4. Then we have Philip Hopley and Stephen Kershaw rounding out the top 10 ahead of John Roberts and Paul Goffin in 12th. Next up is João Esteves. Good to see him back in the championship. He's alongside Jared Coleman in the Clockwork Orange Racing Aston Martin. Ralph Mayer and Heinz Mayer once again on the same row of the grid on row 8 ahead of Ryan Penny and bossman Andrew Marston. David Patching is 19th, looking to keep it safe throughout the race and gain a few places as we go along. So there is the glorious sight of all of these cars lined up on the sort of dummy grid as they all wait on the exit of Variante Alta. Dominic Brennan is going to lead them all away. Bit of a blink in and out there from Stephen Haley. That's not what he wants and not what everybody else wants. And right now, the safety car is going to lead us away, the iRacing Porsche. Let us know who your money is on in the chat. Who do you fancy for this one? Dominic Brennan has amazing pace, but he needs to keep it tidy and keep it together throughout the entire race. It's a 1 hour long race here with pit stops. It's going to be exciting to see who can hold their nerve throughout the entire hour here at Imola. It's a very tough track. Demands a lot of concentration from drivers. You don't really get any rest around here. Dominic is going to hold the field up nice and slowly before we get to the line. Gary's ready to go. Dominic is ready also. The frame rate's going to suffer for a moment. But round 10 of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge from Imola is underway, and it's a nice tidy start by Dominic Brennan. Really good getaway. He leads Gary Tall, and everybody piling in behind. Listen to that. Great sound from the entire field making its way through. Let's keep our eye out for any trouble. Looks like John Roberts and Stephen Kershaw are side by side through there, through the chicane. John round the outside, gets the inside for the exit. Lovely stuff. Philip Hopley holding on well ahead of him. James Cummings has moved up to 3rd place. He's got ahead of Stephen Haley. So he's moved up straight off the bat here. A good start by James. It's exactly what he would have wanted. Not what Stephen would have wanted at all. It's close further down the order. This is Ralph Mayer having a go at Paul Goffin. Looks down the inside. Porsche on Porsche into Tosa. Going toe-to-toe through Tosa. And all of a sudden, Paul Goffin looks like a bit of a cork in the bottle there. Just ahead, you've got Stephen Kershaw on the back of João Esteves. This is Porsche attacking BMW. Down the inside at the top of the hill. Lovely, lovely move by Stephen Kershaw. Nice of João Esteves to give room as well on his return to the championship. We've got a 3-manufacturer battle here. Oliver Carwadine in the McLaren ahead of Philip Hopley's Porsche, then John Roberts, Aston Martin. But Dominic Brennan leads this race after a not torrential, that's a stupid word to use. After a terrific start, I should say. 2nd place still Gary Tall, then James Cummings and Stephen Haley. Here we are on board with him in 4th position. The Aston Martin making one hell of a noise. This 4-litre V8 engine roaring its way down to Rivazza. And then over the start-finish line for the first time. And a really nice, clean lap from everybody first time round. Some great battles erupting already, but everybody keeping it nice and tidy. Look at this train near the back of the field. And Andy, I'm with you, mate. I really hope the M4 gets a decent BOP for next time round, because it's an awesome-looking car. And it'd be good to see it go well as John Roberts is off the road. John Roberts has got smoke pouring from the car as he goes sideways. Now he was right with Philip Hopley. I don't know if there was damage on either of the cars. They were both chasing Oliver Carwadine. Let's have a look what happened. As John, he loses it himself and somehow doesn't hit Philip Hopley. Wow. Let's have a look back from Philip's car. Onto the brakes. John just clips the grass. Wow, that was close. Wow. That was amazingly close there for Philip Hopley. He got away with that one. I bet that wasn't a very nice sight in the mirror. Philip's going really well, though. Doing a great job in 9th spot at the moment, looking for some strong points in this championship. This is Mark Johnson all over the back of Stuart Clark. It's clipping the inside of the curb of Aqua Minerale. Stuart Clark clearly feeling the pressure at the moment. John Roberts has unfortunately dropped right down to the back of the field as Ryan Penny and Heinz Mayer are both around. Both the Porsches around. I bet you one has lost it and gone into the other here. Ryan's lost it on his own, has a big old slide. And Heinz has done it in sympathy. Now, who was that behind them? That was Andy Marston, just behind them. He's also had a moment after this. This is a little bit too far back. If we go to this, you'll see, kind of, both the Porsches go off just in front. Well, you didn't really get to see much of that. Andy Marston, though, has had his own problem after this, so we're going to stick with him. Paul Goffin has also suffered, so Team SRM both having a moment in one go. Into the chicane. Andy's lost it on the way in. And he's biffed the wall really hard. Now, hopefully that's not stuck there. No, he does manage to get it back out. But Paul Goffin has then had an issue. That is the 990 car of Ralph Mayer just behind him. Ralph gets very close and... Paul just seeming to slow down for a second there. Not sure if he had some sort of issue with VR or something. Ralph Mayer has then had an issue and more of an issue after that. So he's in the chicane. He just comes across the front of Jared Coleman's Aston Martin, unfortunately, and loses a bit of ground. Mark Johnson has also had a problem here. He's got past Stuart Clark. He's going to go way too hot into the chicane. All over the curbs. That'll feel horrible. And then Oliver Carwadine and Philip Hopley go back past him. So, back to live pictures at last. And Dominic Brennan is the one leading the way. He's got this great train behind him, actually. Stephen Haley chasing down James Cummings, chasing down Gary Tall, and Paul Goffin is Paul Offin. Off into the scenery. Back on the road he goes, though. I'm not sure whether there was any contact here, but let's have a look. Now Jared Coleman went off in front of him, and that's the second time we've seen two people go off there in quick succession. Seems like quite the easy thing to do. No, Stuart Clark's off in the middle of the road now. And Gary Tall has taken the race lead from Dominic Brennan. Gary Tall goes into the lead for Tall and Taller Motorsport, and James Cummings wants a piece of this as well. He's going to try and come through on the right-hand side. Stephen Haley does the fastest lap of the race. They all bunch up together into Tamburello. Cummings around the outside. Now that's going to become the inside. If he can get rid of the overlap, he's through. Dominic Brennan is dropping backwards here. Stephen Haley goes through around the outside as well. Dominic Brennan down to 4th. Is that a slowdown penalty for Dominic Brennan? Let's see what happened to Stuart Clark. He's lost it. He's just gone way wide at Rivazza. Ends up backwards across the road. Somehow saves it and doesn't get caught by somebody else. I say saves it, you know what I mean. Let's have a look where Gary Tall overtaking Dominic Brennan. Now if we go back to this and then look at Dominic Brennan, let's see. That'll be a slowdown penalty, that, for Dominic. That's a real shame. We've got David Patching off the road. He's just come back on. There's cars off everywhere at the moment. Unreal stuff. But Gary Tall leads this race for Tall and Taller Motorsport. That's exactly what he wants with his teammate not here. He wants to make sure he flies the flag. They're leading the team's championship at the moment. And then we've got this great battle behind. Rob Sharp also could become a part of this as well, as he closes in on this little quartet just ahead. Oh no, John Roberts. John Roberts has had an issue. He's off at Aqua Minerale now. He's getting it in gear and getting it going again. Let's have a look at how this unfolded for John. Oh, it's the tiniest touch of the grass. And around she goes. You can see all the smoke lingering at the bottom of the hill. Philip Hopley's having a good run. He started 9th in this race. He's up into 7th. Oliver Carwadine just ahead of him. He's gained 2 places as well. We've got 3 drivers tied for the biggest mover so far. João Estevez, he's gained 3 places. So too is Ryan Penny. And so too, despite his issue a moment ago, is David Patching. So surely he must have been the biggest mover not too long ago. Now then. Alex Nella making a bit of a theme of saying, "Oh, John," in the chat. Now we've got Aston Martin, Porsche. Aston Martin, Porsche. And then Rob Sharp ruins the pattern in 5th position, but I'm sure he doesn't care. He's just thinking more about what he can do to make moves in this race, as through goes Stephen Kershaw on Mark Johnson. Kershaw moves up into 8th position now. He's gained 2 places from where he started. But Gary Tall is under pressure now for the race lead. James Cummings is right there. Andy Hopley said earlier that we all know that Cummings will be there towards the end, and we certainly do. He's 3rd in the championship at the moment. He's the highest placed driver in the championship that's in this race this evening as well. Stephen Haley has taken a lot of the curb on the exit of Aqua Minerale there. I'm surprised that's not a slowdown penalty. If it is, he's hiding it very, very well. Into the chicane, very anti-alta. Runs a little bit wide, has to compromise his line on the exit. Looking further back, Mark Johnson's all over the back of Stephen Kershaw. Oh, he just can't get the right line out there when he's following the car ahead. You can't take any risks and clatter over those curbs too hard. Otherwise, the amount of momentum that you lose is just massive. But Gary Tall crosses the line, leads another lap here at Imola. But this is a very enticing battle now as the Porsche stretches its legs down towards Tamburello once more. We've got V8 versus Flat 6, all making a wonderful, wonderful noise, all together in perfect harmony. But this is a wonderful battle for the lead, and it could go any which way. All it'll take is a mistake or a dive from any of them to really unsettle things. Stephen Haley looked quite far down the inside of James Cummings there on the way into the Villeneuve chicane, trying to maybe unsettle him slightly. Dominic Brennan, he's not pushing too hard to move forward from 4th place. You've got to think he might be saving a little bit of fuel where he is now. We all know that he's got the pace, as Heinz Meyer has been off the road and comes back on. That was at Tamburello, so maybe just a bit of an excursion over the curbs. Look how close this is for the lead then. We look back now from Gary Tall at James Cummings just behind. James has been such a star in that Porsche this season. Both of these guys deserve a race win. Gary for having such a trying season despite amazing pace. And James for being the highest placed driver in the series at the moment without a race win to his name. He's always up there. He's always scoring podiums. But this is a great quartet of cars. And then we have, of course, the gorgeous SimSport Racing International Aston Martin, painted by Digital Motor Art. Stephen Haley himself, one of the partners for this championship, which we're very grateful to have on board. But now, James Cummings is looking very racy here. Look at the slipstream working its magic now as we head on down towards Tamburello. James is on the right-hand side. He's going for the outside, which could become the inside at the second part. But no, he just can't carry it around the outside. He hops over the curbs. Oh, he's going to clip the grass, and surely he's going to lose out as Stephen Haley gets a run now. Dominic Brennan's going to be able to smell blood in the water, and this is perfect for what Gary Tall wants. Gary Tall wants these guys to fight. He wants them to hold each other up behind. There's an incident in the back, but we're going to have to stick with this for just a moment. As Cummings, no, he's lost it over the curbs. He bounces sideways. Gets straightened up by Dominic Brennan, and Brennan goes through. Rob Sharp says, thanks very much, boys. I'll have at least one freebie out of this. Cummings says, not on your life, mate. Watch this. Tries to get down the inside at Tosa once again. But James Cummings just clatters over the curbs. And it was, in the background, Philip Hopley and Stephen Kershaw that came together. This is into Tamburello. Oh, Kershaw's gone in way too hot. Clips the grass. Oh, and he rails the back of Philip Hopley's car. Philip, luckily, can continue. Keeps his speed up. But James Cummings, well, he went back past Stephen Haley, who has since gone off the road. So let's just have a look. So he's around the outside. He tries to tuck it in, and he just hits that curve there. Bounces off the front. Gets straightened up by Dominic Brennan. And it's amazing that they all managed to continue. But since then, Stephen Haley has been off the road again. This is down at Aqua Minerale. Oh, he's sideways on the way in. He's sideways all the way through. You know what? That's a miraculous save. Fair play, Stephen Haley, but he's lost 2 spots in the process. James Cummings now behind Rob Sharp. So Gary Tall, well, he still leads this race. He's going to be over the moon with that one. And Alex Neller saying it how it is. They Imola'd. They certainly did. So Gary Tall leads it. Dominic Brennan second. Rob Sharp is now up to third ahead of James Cummings and Stephen Haley. This is how the field is currently spread out around the circuit. The yellow dot is the car we're looking at, which is Rob Sharp in third place. You can see 7th and 8th are quite close together. That's Mark Johnson and Philip Hopley. Hopefully Philip's car not too damaged at this point. João Estevez is inside the top 10. He's the biggest mover in the field so far, gaining 4 spots from where he started. It's good to see the BMW going well. There's been a move further back. Paul Goffin on Stephen Kershaw as Stephen tries to... Whoa, hello. Ryan Penny goes in way too hot into Tamburello. Manages to collect it. Doesn't go all through the gravel or anything, but nearly goes into the back of Stephen Kershaw as Stephen went into the back of Philip the lap before. There's quite a bit of damage on the front of Kershaw's Porsche. As down the inside, Heinz Meyer tries to go down the inside there. Doesn't work. Ryan Penny holds him off for now. It's going to be Arnaud on the brakes into Tosa. Hugs it to the inside line as well. Makes sure that Heinz can't get the cutback. Good stuff from Ryan Penny. Looks like Heinz got quite a nice run up the hill though. Can he use that advantage and go down the inside at the top of the hill? No, he cannot. It's quite the exciting race so far though. Plenty going on, and there always is in the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. But Gary Tall will be over the moon with how this is going so far. Andy Hopley saying, if it's not one tall and taller driver, you're very right, sir. James Cummings now right up behind Rob Sharp. He needs to get on with this and go catching Dominic Brennan, because James Cummings was so good in the early stages, right behind the race leader. We've just hit a quarter race distance, 15 minutes of the race done so far. Look at James monstering those curbs, really throwing the car over time and time again. Mark Johnson's just done his fastest lap of the race. As, oh no, Stephen Kershaw's off again. This is off at the final corner. David Patching is off in a separate incident. But what's left of Stephen Kershaw's Porsche is having a very tough time. Let's see what happens here. Into Rivazza. Oh, it just over-rotates on its own. He must have some damage on the front that's affecting the behaviour of the car after that earlier incident. He's continuing on though. He's pushing on. He doesn't want to pit yet. They do get a fast repair in this championship, so you may as well try and stay out with whatever damage you have before you come in for your pit stop, because you can get it fixed for no extra cost at that point of the race. Now here's 2 drivers that like white wheels, which is nice to see as Rob Sharp throws the Porsche through Aqua Minerale. James Cummings is going to want to close in after seeing that sort of behaviour. Over the curbs. Look at James's pace through there. Very quick indeed. Oh, Stephen Kershaw has been off again, unfortunately, and he's dropped completely out of the race into the pits. Yeah, the car is not straight at all, is it? Look, no, there's something definitely wrong with it, and he's going to go into the wall. That's a real shame for Stephen Kershaw. Hopefully, we do get to see him back out on track once he's got the car towed back and got it all repaired. It's a good opportunity to at least score a point or two, with the whole field being point-scoring positions. John Roberts is still running, but he's a little bit off the back of the field. He's got 17 seconds ahead to Andy Marston. So the under-the-radar camouflage is certainly under the radar right now in terms of its track positioning. Now, track positioning is certainly something James Cummings is good at, and he's gone down the inside of Rob Sharp and through he goes up into third place. Beautiful manoeuvre. Nice of Rob to leave him the room as well. Good respectful racing, and again, that's something we always get here. Dominic Brennan's just on the fastest lap of the race, by the way, and he's really catching up to Gary Toll now. Last time round, Gary did a 1:51.1. Dominic Brennan did a 1 minute 50.46. So 7/10 of a second quicker was Dominic Brennan. He's starting to reel in the Aston Martin very quickly. And this is the sort of circuit where you really don't want drivers chasing you down in fast form. It's so easy to just make the odd tiny little mistake here and there. As we saw in qualifying, it's not a circuit where it's easy to put a lap together. Wow, Stephen Haley really catches up to the back of Rob Sharp into Rivazza. And now he's got a good run out of there as well, actually. He's going to be really close as they come down the start-finish straight once more. They're going to go on to their 11th lap of the race now. James Cummings is trying to get away now that he's got ahead of Rob Sharp. Rob's having a really good run, as João Estevez, sorry, as Fausto Pinto has pointed out. Apologies, mate. I got the wrong team, mate. Stephen Haley, 4th after that manoeuvre. Lovely stuff, but we need to go back to the very front because this is closing up. Look, Dominic Brennan only a few car lengths behind Gary Toll right now. We're not even at third race distance yet. So things can definitely change. We usually see 2 pit stops from all of these guys. I saw that Andy Hopley before was saying that Philip was trying to fuel save for a 1-stop strategy, which would be amazing to see if someone could pull that one off. But Dominic Brennan, he's really not worrying right now about fuel saving. He's just hoping to close right up behind Gary Toll and put the pressure on. Gary did his fastest lap of the race as well last time out, a 1:50.8, but it was still 7/10 slower than this man, Dominic Brennan. Let's go on board with the Porsche, see if it looks any more dramatic from in here. It looks very calm the way he's chasing him down. There's 20 minutes done. And we still have a lead battle on our hands. We should kick Ed and Simon out more often. This is brilliant racing. Not that it's not without them, let's face it. We know just how quick they are. Now Andy's saying not to quote him. Across the line goes Brennan once more. Starts lap 12 of this race. Still half a second quicker than Gary Toll on that previous lap, but Gary's doing a sterling job at the moment. Still putting in some very good laps and keeping the pace alive. James Cummings is now 5 seconds off these two. And he's going slower than Dominic Brennan, so Dominic is in the middle of these guys, moving forwards rather than being squeezed in. These guys just not able to keep the pace up at the same sort of level. Stuart Clark is just inside the top 10 at the moment. He's got João Estevez ahead of him, but he started this race 6th, did Stuart. So after that spin earlier, he's hoping to make that ground back up and progress further through the order. We do still have Stephen Kershaw back out on track, so hats off to Mr. Kershaw. He's got the car repaired and he's back out and he's continuing on with the race, and that again is good sportsmanship. It's so easy to give up on these races and just disappear back to the garage and rage quit, as we call it, but we've got such a great community with these guys that we don't really see that happen. Andy Marston here just going a little bit deep into Ravazza in the short-nosed McLaren. Looks like a very grumpy McLaren, doesn't it, at the front, unfortunately. After Andy's little bip with the wall earlier on, he's actually just come into the pits, as Andy, you can see it on the timing tower there at the bottom. John Roberts then moves up into 17th place because of that. And we wait now to see how long Gary Tall can hold on. And oh, we've got a new one, a new type of spam bot in the chat. That's always interesting to see. They're not after very human nature investments. They're after Bitcoin this time. Dominic Brennan into the pits. And that means that Gary Tall now does not have the pressure at this point to continue. Dominic Brennan sitting in the pit lane now. Let's see how long the stop is. It should be about 20 seconds. He's been there for 13, 14, 15 now. It's usually about 21, 22 seconds usually. And he gets going at 22.13 seconds. Stuart Clark is also in. So too is Jared Coleman in the Aston Martin. Now let's have a look. Where did Dominic Brennan come out? Now he's got two cars making their way past him. That's Ryan Penny and Paul Goffin. So he's not come out on track alone here. And if he has to get through past these guys, then he's going to have his work cut out. And that could potentially hold him up, which is good news if you're Gary Tall. Those two are fighting for position as well, so they're not going to want to give anything up right now. As Ryan gets hard on the brakes into Villeneuve as Paul Goffin clings the car over to the left. Ryan thought that he saw a gap for just a moment there. Not good awareness by Ryan. He gets on the brakes and makes sure that he doesn't lose out. John Roberts has just gone past Jared Coleman, who's just making his way out of the pits now. John recovering up into 15th place so far. Now here's James Cummings, second position. Car 2P2 at the moment. But of course we need the pit stops to all level out. We'll show you the stops on the left just so you can see. It's the two mayors between Dominic Brennan and everybody else that haven't pitted yet. And look, here they come. Gary Tall in. James Cummings, Stephen Haley, Rob Sharp, all four of them in. What about Oliver Carwadine? Is he going to join them as well? Yes, he is. Oliver Carwadine in. Mark Johnson in. Now Philip Hopley, is he going to come into the pits? Yes, he is. So he's decided against that one-stop strategy. It would be very difficult to do. And Gary Tall is in the box now. Let's see where he is in relation to Dominic Brennan. Dominic comes round the final corner through Ravazza. Across the line, is Paul Goffin going to come in front of him? He is. Now he's already ahead of Ryan Penny, so he may have been held up a little bit here. Gary Tall's got going, so too is James Cummings. James's pit stop was about 2 seconds shorter than Gary Tall. Now where are they? There they are on the right-hand side. Dominic Brennan's done it. Dominic Brennan with an insane outlap has taken the lead, and he's got a 3.5 second, nearly 4 second advantage over Gary Tall. Now he was in the pits for about 3 seconds less than Gary as well, actually, so that has clearly made the difference. Be intriguing to see what difference that makes later on in the race, but still. Gary Tall now second, James Cummings third, then it's Rob Sharp in fourth place. You can see the rest of the order all shuffling around as everybody completes their pit stops. You can see that everyone has done at least one stop now. Rob Sharp just getting back to grips with the car again by the look of it. He didn't have too comfortable a first sector there. So hopefully the car continues to behave itself. It's great to see two different manufacturers going at it again, though. The Aston Martin now ahead of the Porsche for second position. There's been a move further down the order. Jared Coleman got past Heinz Mayer for P14. He's just going to go straight past him down the start-finish straight. And there it is. It's actually close here between Mark Johnson and Oliver Cowdery, and this is for 6th position. Ryan Penny is the biggest mover in the field, by the way. He's gained 5 spots from where he started. Looks like the headlights are already on the McLaren. I think they're always on the McLaren these days, to be honest with you. Mark Johnson just can't seem to get the Aston Martin to behave itself round there, can he? It's always doing something different every time he gets to that curb. Down into Rivazza again. Hard on the brakes. Trying to get the front end really tucked in. And now he's going to power down the start-finish straight in the slipstream of that McLaren. It's a good-looking car from here. Well, it's a good-looking car from most angles, is the McLaren. And hard onto the brakes then. The nose of the Aston Martin really dips down in comparison. It's a car that rolls its body around a lot more than the likes of the McLaren. I do like the 570S GT4. It really has grown on me. It's nothing quite like a 650S GT3 or a 720S GT3, of course, but it's a beautiful car. McLaren have announced they're going to be doing the McLaren Artura GT4 very soon. And in other GT news today, there's been the Maserati MC20 GT2 announced. It's great to see the GT2 category growing once again. I noticed that in the Fanatec GT2 European Series over the weekend at Spa, there were a lot more cars on the grid, which is great. I had the wonderful chance to commentate on that championship when they were at Hockenheim last year, and I think they only had 9 cars on the grid for a 50-minute race with 2 drivers in each car, and it's a shame to see a grid of such exciting machines be as small as it was, but it's good to see that that seems to be growing in some forms at least. But Oliver Cowdery, well, he wants the gap to grow in some forms right now. Back to Mark Johnson, but look, Mark just cannot get the car tucked in there. He really cannot, and Oliver just gets a little bit of breathing room before they make their way down to Rivazza. McLaren looks great coming into there, doesn't it? Especially in that livery as well. It's a very complimentary livery on that car. Now, the McLaren has been running white number boards all season because of the placement of their numbers and the fact that they were just black numbers before this season. But as of next season, the number boards will be in a different place with white numbers on them. That's if we do a second season, of course. As round the outside goes Mark Johnson, late as he dares on the brakes, and swoops around and then has the inside line for the next part of Tamburello. Lovely move by Mark. Good respect by Carwadine to give him the room. That's exactly what you want to see. Now we've got a few cars closer together further down here. This is Heinz Mayer chasing down Jared Coleman, who's right on the back of Paul Goffin, who's not too far behind Ryan Penny, actually. The three of them pretty close together. Let's go on chopper cam of Paul Goffin. You might see the Aston Martin close in the slipstream at the bottom of the shot. There he is. There is Jared Coleman getting closer and closer on the brakes. Now Paul's not having as good a race meeting as he would have hoped for here. He's had some great finishes so far this season. Last time out at the Nürburgring, he finished in 12th place. But the time before that at Hockenheim, he got 18 points for finishing in 8th. I think that's his highest finish this season for Paul Goffin, actually. It is. So he's not far off that at the moment, but 13th place outside the top 10. Not what he would want in the current climate with these slightly smaller grids that we're getting in the championship. But Dominic Brennan now has a 5.5 second lead over Gary Tall. It's looking very good indeed, isn't it? He's turned it around after that earlier mistake, which cost him a number of positions with that slowdown penalty. He's really turned it around well. It's just great to see Dominic throwing this car around. He's having a really good run of it. Into Tosa. You can see that the Porsche is another car that does show off its body language quite a lot. It does move around quite a bit on its platform. I always enjoy watching cars like that because you can tell what the car is doing a lot more. You know, it's not completely flat, stiff, and sort of characterless car. You know, it's a completely lifeless machine. But the way that some of these slower GT cars and even the Porsche Cup cars move is just always interesting to see. If we go on the nose cam of James Cummings, you'll see just how close we can get on the brakes to Gary Toll in the Aston Martin with the very well strategically placed digital motor art plug there. I'll get it right one day, Stephen, I promise, mate. Onto the brakes again. Little lick of flame from the back of the Aston Martin there. The taller car. Certainly filling up the road very well at the moment in second position. We're into the second half of the race now, by the way. We're over half an hour through. And we'll give you a quick look at how the field is spread out currently. Dominic Brennan leading the way very nicely indeed, but the battle to watch is really from 12th position back, because Ryan Penny here, the yellow dot on your screen, has got 3 cars very evenly spaced behind him. Paul Goffin, Jared Coleman and Heinz Meyer. Heinz has got the best seat in the house for all of this, should anything kick off or should anything happen. And it looks actually like Jared Coleman's got a run here on Paul Goffin. Paul's on the right, Jared's on the left. If Jared can hold it round him there, then he'll have the inside for the second part of the chicane. It's very close, it's very friendly, but look at that. Heinz Meyer says thanks very much. The car gets a little bit out of shape though, over-rotates slightly to the left, but now he's on the left-hand side of Paul Goffin. Paul's got nowhere to go here because Heinz is then going to be on the inside. Jared Coleman gives both of them a little bit of slipstream. Heinz slams on the brakes. Oh no, Paul's gone into the back of Jared and he's off. And he's off into the barriers. Oh, and the rear wing's off the Aston Martin. It's broken the left rear suspension. I don't think that's going to go anywhere, unfortunately, Jared. Oh, it was an innocent mistake by Paul Goffin. We'll see it here. I think he was just a little bit too concerned with what Heinz Meyer was going to do down the inside, and you'll see there, they're on the brakes, and he's not. He tries to go to the left to avoid him, and it just lifts that left rear wheel off the ground. And Jared Coleman goes spearing off to the right-hand side, and it looks like it might just have clipped the tyre wall, but then there's a big concrete barrier on the outside there, and when you hold the brakes in these cars, they do continue to roll backwards at quite the speed, and it clouts the barrier, and there you can see the resulting damage on the left rear suspension of the Aston Martin, unfortunately, and he is now sat in the pits. Paul Goffin did wait for him to give the position back, which was nice sportsmanship, but unfortunately it's not going to be. This is David Patching chasing down Ralph Meyer as they go through Villeneuve, through the left and then the right. Dominic Brennan crosses the line. Gary Toll crosses the line, but he's got James Cummings tucked right up behind him. Now James is going to get some severe slipstream here. They're very far clear of everybody else, so they can afford to battle a little bit. Gary puts the car exactly where he needs it there, though. James has to back out of it. There was no gap there. He didn't have an overlap that time round. This could turn into an absolute excellent battle, this one. James is so consistent, so quick. And Gary is a really fierce racer. He messaged me the other day for explaining that his lack of overtaking was just because he was patient and not because he was bad at it. But he's a very good sport, is Gary. He's a good laugh. And James Cummings is certainly hoping to poke the fire a little bit here, try and make up some ground and make up some places. John Roberts, by the way, has made it into the top 10 now. He's just done his personal best lap of the race. A good few seconds ahead of João Esteves now. Gary Toll goes a little bit deep at Piratella, moves the car all the way over to the right-hand side. James Cummings has to get on the brakes to avoid further contact. I think there might have been a tiny touch there. I don't think he expected Gary to run him over that far. Like I said, though, Gary is certainly determined to keep that pesky little blue Porsche behind. James is going to have to get one hell of a run and bank on a mistake here from Gary Toll before he can get through. Apologies if you're getting any wind noise, by the way. It's very warm in my office, so I've had to turn a fan on. I've tried to direct it as far away from me as possible while still pointing it at me, if that makes sense. Just so that it doesn't get picked up in the microphone. Then again, there's other noise to worry about right now, and that's these two battling together. Very close indeed. Great to watch as ever as they make their way down the start-finish straight once more. Side by side this time into Tamburello. James Cummings all the way around the outside. He's kept the overlap, and it is, oh, just a little bit of contact. I think he tried to give as much room as possible, but again, just bouncing over the curb slightly. And that tiny little tap is what sends him through. But James Cummings, for me, there was nothing untoward there. Just a little bit of a hop and a skip over the curb. We'll have a look at it once more, shall we? This is when he got the run around the outside. He found that the gap was big enough. And look at the tiny little sprightly Porsche make its way through there. Plenty of room there. There's a hopper, skip and a jump. And oh, just that tiny touch. Just that tiny little touch. There's not a hell of a lot of room down there to play with at Tamburello when you go one way then the other. John Roberts is back in the pits. He's having another stop. That'll be his final stop of the race, I imagine, to get him through to the end. This is Ralph Mayer. He's got David Patching and then Paul Goffin not too far behind in this little Porsche trio. But that battle that we saw a moment ago now means that Dominic Brennan has over 8 seconds as a lead. 8.7 seconds over James Cummings. And it looks to me like James has lost a bit of time, actually. Looks like he might have had a problem through Variante Alta. Maybe a slowdown penalty or something. But Gary Toll certainly closed back in there, and Dominic gained a lot of time. So, can Gary Toll now use the slipstream of the Porsche to now get back in front? Oh, no! Sounds like some sort of issue with the gearbox then. It's like he double changed up. David Patching has just lost a place to Paul Goffin. They're having a good fight further back. Gary Toll is not able to do anything this time about chasing down James Cummings. Let's have a look at Paul Goffin getting past David Patching. Oh, he's just got a good run out of Villeneuve, puts it down the inside, and David says, after you, mate. Gives him good space down the inside. So Gary Toll now needs to focus on the fact that Rob Sharp is starting to close in on this little battle. Rob could very quickly become a part of this and take some positions and, importantly, championship points away from these guys. And I'm sure that Gary will be hoping, please no. Now John Roberts is the next car to try and overtake David Patching. As he goes down the inside into Rivazza again. Dave giving nice room. Respectful stuff. Doesn't hinder John too much, and John carries on his merry way. Now, John has done 2 pit stops, as you will see on the graphic on the left. There's a couple of other drivers that had, but that's Jared Coleman and Stephen Kershaw doing that for damage. Again, another driver that's carrying on despite the incident that we saw is Jared Coleman. He's continuing on in this race. Good determination from these drivers and great sportsmanship to complete these races. At the end of the day, they're still fighting for points. Clockwork Orange, due to their drivers changing cars, are unfortunately in the minuses. We introduced a 20-point penalty for drivers that change teams, or sorry, change cars partway through the season. And those guys have both changed and unfortunately not scored enough points to make up for it yet. But James Cummings is certainly going to be watching his mirrors right now, isn't he? Because Gary Toll is really filling them in that evil matte black Aston Martin. It's a very angry looking car. We're into the final third of the race now. 40 minutes done, 20 minutes left to go. Gary looking for a podium. I believe it would be his first outright podium this season. It will be. James Cummings so far this season has 2 podiums to his name. One at Daytona, finished 3rd outright, and finished 2nd at Hockenheim a couple of weeks ago. At the Nürburgring he qualified 4th and finished 4th. And if Dominic Brennan wins this race, it's going to be his first outright win of the championship. He'll be the 4th race winner this season from the 10 races we've had. Simon Povey has 5 race wins. Ed May has 3. And the other race win went to Mark Baxter-Jones at the very start of the season, after an awesome fight between Mark and Simon. Dominic just makes this car look so tidy and so stable, doesn't he? Now we've got some good scraps going on. Ryan Penny has got Heinz Mayer just behind him. And then 32 seconds behind this, we've got Ralph Mayer with Paul Goffin and John Roberts climbing around all over the back of him. The Porsche and the Aston Martin. It's getting a little bit dark here at Imola, so the lights will come on soon, I'm sure. I hope the stream looks okay, by the way. Our broadband exchange down the road has had a few issues post heatwave. We've lost a lot of our internet speed and a lot of our bitrate, so the quality has been reduced a lot, I'm afraid. But that's just something we're going to have to deal with until we can sort proper fibre out. As whoa, there's some close racing between John Roberts and Paul Goffin. Both of them trying to find their way past Heinz Mayer, but just cannot at this moment in time. There was a bit of a wiggle and then a bit of an off for Heinz through Villeneuve. And look at that, Paul Goffin round the outside at Piratella. Doesn't work though, and on the exit, Heinz is able to get back down the inside, and then John Roberts is now on the outside. David Patching is watching this from distance. John Roberts goes through, up into 14th place. Now he's going to want to dispose of Heinz as quickly as possible. Both of them step out of shape slightly. Goffin loses a bit of time as well to Patching, who closes back in on him. He now makes it a quartet rather than a trio. And he looks down the inside. Oh, stops on the curb, does David, unfortunately. Oh, excuse me, wrong battle. Peng Performance saying Team Zilla for the win next season. Interesting take. I didn't know anyone from Team Fordzilla wanted to jump in. Then again, I know that the name Will Chadwick has been involved in the Discord. We'll have to set an iRating cap. No, it would be awesome to have some of the real top-notch drivers in the series. So long as they don't dominate too much. I hope that one day iRacing will bring in individual success ballast that can be set by admins, because we'll just give Will about a ton of it. Just had a quick blip in and out there for just a second. Sorry about that. Just having a little bit of an internet-based issue. This is John Roberts continuing to absolutely hound the back of Ralph Mayer's Porsche. Apologies for the issue just there. Hopefully you are back with me. So we've got John Roberts still climbing around. He's now on the left-hand side as they go up towards Piratella. Down the inside. Oh, there's contact and more contact. And Ralph Mayer's tipped sideways. And John's gone around as well. Oh, I think Ralph tried to close the gap off down the inside, and unfortunately he just ran John out of room, and the two of them go around. Dominic Brennan makes it through unscathed as he laps them. This is your outright race leader, continuing to put in impressive laps. A 150.7 last time. James Cummings did a 152.2. That just shows you the pace difference between just first and second place at the moment. It's massive. James still under pressure from both cars behind him, though. Gary Tall and Rob Sharp both all over the back of him. Through the chicane again, monstering those curbs. The Porsche looks like it handles the curbs really well, but I've been told that from the inside it's not a very pleasant experience and it feels horrible. Jared Coleman's just been off the road and gets going again. He's been off at Villeneuve here. Let's have a look how this came about. Oh, he's just run a little bit wide. He's going to clip the gravel. It goes one way. And, oh, it's actually gone into the barrier quite hard there, and then he's going to have to turn it around. Let's have a look at the Ralph Mayer and John Roberts incident again. So, it's an interesting one. There's like 2 or 3 different bits of contact in that one. So John's in the middle of the road and Ralph's not all the way over to the right, but it's not like either of them were squeezed to exactly one side of the circuit or anything, is it? They just sort of both came together, both trying to put equal amounts of pressure on each other, and it was a sort of unstoppable force, immovable object moment. Into the final quarter of this race then. 15 minutes left to go. Mark Johnson is into the pits. He's completing his second pit stop. Just a quick reminder on the left-hand side of who's pitted and how many times. Ryan Penny's into the top 10 at the moment. He's getting 7 spots from where he started. He's having a hell of a run once again, is Ryan. He was the biggest mover in the field back at Hockenheim, and he had COVID when he did that. Love watching these cars make their way down the start-finish straight. Headlights ablaze now as well, of course, as it gets darker and darker. And Heinz Mayer has a little bit of a shuffle over the curb there through Tamburello. Andy Marston there at the side, just letting these guys go through. They're a lap ahead of him now, so he's not getting in their way. James Cummings still holding on to second position. Gary Toll having a good run as Dominic Brennan comes into the pits. David Patching in there with him as well. Now you have to creep down the start-finish straight. And it feels absolutely horrible when you have to go so slowly down there. James Cummings back into the race lead ahead of Gary Toll. Rob Sharp still holding on then to the back of these guys. He's not making huge inroads, but he's just there. He's just doing all he needs to do at the moment. Now, what was Dominic Brennan's pit stop time like? 14.5 seconds. Again, apologies for the bitrate issue, which seems to have just started hindering me here. Hopefully it will be sorted momentarily. I know that the quality has dropped slightly, to say the least. Now, John Roberts will not be happy about the fact that he's a lap behind these guys. These are guys that he would normally like to be up there fighting inside the top 10. But right now, he is almost a lap down on them in this current phase. So, Brennan 5th. Carwadine, Sharp, Toll and Cummings are the cars ahead. Now David Patching has been off the road here. This is at Villeneuve. Oh, and he's done what we saw Jared Coleman do. Oh, and he's into the barrier. Oh, it's broken the front left, has it? Or has it? No, iRacing does that thing where it pops back to life again. So he's able to continue. Now into the pits come these guys. All three from the race lead. And Mark Johnson going past Ryan Penny. The Aston Martin overtaking the Porsche at Piratella. Mark continuing to push on forward through the field as best he can. As everybody now tries their hardest to get out of the pits as quickly as possible. Dominic Brennan goes through, even though James Cummings was stationary for about 4 seconds less. James makes his way out of the pits. He's opened up a big gap now over Rob Sharp, who is ahead of Gary Toll. He was in the pits for about 2 seconds less than Gary. So Gary's lost a position in all of that. Rob Sharp has managed to get onto the podium spots after the second set of pit stops. Stephen Haley is going to be in 5th place. Doesn't look like João Estevez is out of the race, but he has jumped back to the pits recently. I'm not quite sure why. I can't see any reason why. Not quite sure what happened. Whether he's had a disconnect or something. Let's have a look. So he left the pit lane after 2 minutes and 28 seconds. And he also left the pits after 1 minute and 57. So let's have a look when he enters the pits. Ah. So he's missed his box by the look of it. He's had some sort of issue there. This was the time before that as well. Now, where on earth? Yeah, he's having constant issues here. Let's have a look. So this is when he originally comes into the pits. We'll figure this one out. Into the pits he goes. Ah, now that to me looks like speeding. Into the pits, that looks way too quick. Or is it? Oh, I don't know, actually. So he stops. And then the car is then rolling backwards. Gets going forwards into his box again. It's almost as if the pit crew hasn't picked him up. So then I think he decides to carry on. And then, oh, is that where his man is? And then is he stopped there? I can't. So he's still in second gear. And then is he going to reverse back down the pit lane again? Not sure. Something really odd has gone on there with the pits with João Esteves, and he's back in once again. He's been stationary for 34 seconds already. That's a real shame for João Esteves on his return to the championship. It was going so well. But unfortunately, he's had some sort of mishap there and he's lost out big time. Dominic Brennan, he's not losing out big time, is he? He's had a fantastic night so far. That qualifying was amazing. His race may not have started in the best way because he lost a few places very early on and was sat in 4th place, but he now has a 12.4 second lead over Rob Sharp, who's ahead of Gary Tall. But James Cummings has had to come back into the pits. Now, has he had some sort of penalty or something? Has he hit the incident limit? Has he had a drive-through penalty for 20 incidents? That looked fast on the way into the pits as well, James. No, he's been in his box as well, actually. He stopped for a second. Nicely stopped. Ah. João apparently cannot clear a black flag of some description. And that must be for, I assume that's for the incident points, is it, Fausto? That's a real shame, if not. That's really strange. Not quite sure why he wouldn't be able to clear it. Because what the drivers get is once they hit 20 incidents in this championship, as Stephen Haley is now in the pits as well. We've got a lot of them coming in. You get 20 incidents in this championship before you get a drive-through penalty, which is, I'm pretty sure, what Stephen's doing here. And then at 30 incidents, you get disqualified from the race on the spot. It's quite a strict system, but we don't take any messing about. God, they sound fantastic under there, don't they? That now drops Stephen Haley into 7th place as Oliver Carwadine, Mark Johnson. They've both gone through. There's Oliver. David Patching is between them as well in the Porsche. But that means now Rob Sharp is 2nd on for his first podium in the championship, and Gary Tall is also on for his as well. I'm really sorry to João Esteves. I'm not got a clue why the black flag isn't clearing. Unless when you stop in the box, it means that it isn't a drive-through penalty. So you have to just drive all the way through without stopping in the box. Because I hadn't seen João go through completely, actually. Because sometimes, obviously, when you take a pit stop, you can't clear a penalty and take tyres and fuel and whatever else you might need to at the same time. The point of a drive-through is that they get given to be an extra run through the pit lane completely compared to everything else. So they don't get served at the same time. We look here at Rob Sharp, though, in 2nd place. Well, he's looking sharp right now. I love the livery on this car. It looks absolutely stunning. But Rob has been solid all season, and he's just getting better and better all the time. And it's good to see him up there in 2nd place currently with only, well, less than 5 minutes, about 4 minutes with change left to go in this race. James Cummings had a bit of a blink in and out there for a second, and is he gone? Has James Cummings disconnected? Oh, no. Oh, he's pulled over to one side, and that's it. He's off. James Cummings very suddenly out of this race. I hope he's okay. Obviously, it's never a nice thing to see when drivers suddenly are just gone completely. And fair enough, if you've driven straight through twice, Xiao, I'm not sure what it is, mate, I'm afraid. Not a clue what's going to be causing that for you. Sorry, buddy. It's one of those very, very frustrating things with iRacing. But yeah, Cummings still out, still disappeared, and I don't think he's coming back, unfortunately. Do of course hope that he is alright. We saw last time out that with Mark Johnson that he had to, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying this because it's literally how it was, it's not like I'm telling a lie and making stories up about him, but last time Mark very suddenly pulled over at the side at the Nürburgring, and it was because he had to go and help bring the shopping in, basically. And we always say real life comes first in these things. Real life comes first. Now, James has written in the Discord apologising for some contact with some of the guys. But I'm not really sure what the reason for finishing was, but hopefully he's okay, like we say. Thomas Weston in the chat, good to see you, mate. He's saying we will be joining next season. Team Zilla Racing. And the main sponsor will be Staff Zilla. That'd be absolutely awesome. Just got to wait for us to announce the second season now. So, 2 minutes left to go with Dominic Brennan at the front of the field. He's 15.9 seconds clear now of Rob Sharp. He's been exemplary tonight as Dominic Brennan. He may have had that issue early on in the race. He certainly turned it around, didn't he? And this humongous lead continues to grow. I'm just trying to see if there's any moment where James Cummings and Gary Toll might have potentially come together. I've not seen anything that would indicate as such. Doesn't look like there's any damage really on Gary's car. Oh, and to be honest, I think the contact he means was down at Tamburello, wasn't it? It was down at turn 1. So that would have been it. João Estevez back in the pits once again. So hopefully, if he can clear the black flag this time round, it will be all done. It's going all the way through. And then hopefully that will clear it. Because you can get two different types of penalties in iRacing. You can get a stop and hold, where you do literally have to do a, well, that's the American way of saying stop and go. Or you can have a complete drive-through penalty where you don't stop in the box. And I've once sat in the pit box for ages and wondered why mine didn't clear when it turns out I had to go straight through, so I've learned from experience on that one. But learning from experience, well, we've seen Dominic Brennan be an absolute star in this championship before now. He's been very, very quick, time and time again. The clock's just hit 1 hour, and he's only got a couple more corners left to go. And he's going to become the 4th different race winner this season out of the 10 races that we've had. And on a night where our 2 championship protagonists are not with us in acts of pure sportsmanship, which we salute greatly, Dominic has been the cream that has risen to the top here. It's been absolutely wonderful watching him drive like this. A great turnaround. Put your hands together, everybody, for Dominic Brennan, who takes round 10 of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. He deserves that after the performances we've seen from him this season. What a great, great drive that is by the privateer. And Rob Sharp, he's going to hang on to a great, great second place. He's going to take his first podium in the championship. Very well done to Rob. Really good stuff. 2 Porsches, first and second. We've not seen that for quite a while. Gary Toll gets his first podium in the championship as well. Great stuff by Gary. And well, we hope you like the number 4, because in P4, it's Mark Johnson, the 4 horseman, number 44 Aston Martin. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Mark Johnson fourth, Oliver Carwadine fifth, just ahead of Stephen Haley, really close at the line. And then Stuart Clark is going to be the next car up in 7th position. He's just behind David Patching, who's just a lap down on him, but in 14th place. David's going to get some good points for that. And hats off to Philip Hopley, who's going to cross the line in 8th position. Another strong performance by Philip. Very well done indeed. We're going to have Ryan Penny. Ryan's going to be the biggest mover in this entire field, actually. Ryan's going to have gained 8 positions by the time he crosses the line. Well done to Ryan. Another great night at the races. And Heinz Meyer is going to round out the top 10. He's going to complete the field as he crosses the line in 10th place. Well, another very action-packed race for us here in the championship, and Dominic Brennan's trying to do some sort of celebration, but in doing so he's breaking his car. Oh, dearie me. Dearie me. Well, we wait then for the field to complete the race. Looks like everybody has completed it now. We just wait for everyone to finally show you exactly how all of that panned out. So, Dominic Brennan takes a very impressive victory, over 18 seconds clear of Rob Sharp, who takes a great 2nd place. Gary Tall finishes 3rd and rounds out the podium, followed by Mark Johnson in 4th place. Then it's Oliver Carwadine in 5th. Stephen Haley finishes in 6th, with Stuart Clark in 7th position. Philip Hopley inside the top 10 once again. Ryan Penny in 9th, and Heinz Meyer finishing in 10th. John Roberts is next up in 11th, with Paul Goffin in 12th. Then it's Ralph Mayer 13th, David Patching in 14th, ahead of Andrew Marston, Jared Coleman, Stephen Kershaw, James Cummings, and João Estevez, who rounds out the field. Well, it was certainly an exciting race all the way through for all of us here. Plenty of entertainment throughout. Just waiting for the internet to actually behave itself. Apologies, everybody, because I know that it's gone completely to pot right now. I know the internet is being a pain in the backside. So please do bear with me. You can probably still hear me, but not actually see the pictures, to be honest. I know we are still slightly connected somehow. I'm going to see whether we can get any drivers to chat to. We'll see whether we can have, I'll tell you what, we can actually have a chat with the man that finished that race in 2nd position after a really, really good run through the field. Rob Sharp. Rob started 5th on the grid. It was looking promising from the very get-go for you there, but 2nd is an absolutely wonderful result to come back with.
Really didn't expect that at all. My philosophy for the race was, I was probably going to come 5th, 6th or 7th, and I should be happy with that. But things kind of unfolded a little bit differently.
Well, they certainly did, mate. I mean, it was an exciting race as well, because everywhere you were in that race, there was always a battle going on around you, except for the very end where it started to chill out quite a bit. It was certainly an exciting one, I'm sure, from your angle.
Yeah. For me, it was for most of the time it was sort of reasonably quiet, and then there were a few coming together up front, and then I think, did James get disqualified? I guess this circuit's really sensitive on incidents, so I suspect we're all edging towards that limit.
Yeah, he seemed to pull over very suddenly near the end, but I don't think he got disqualified as such, because normally the car just disappears straight away as soon as you get disqualified. So I'm not quite sure what the situation was there. Maybe he might have hit the 20 incidents, and then then obviously didn't want to go through the drive-through and so on, and thought his race was done. I mean, we've seen that before, but like you say, Imola, it's so tough, not just for the curbs, but the incident points as well. It is very harsh, like you say, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. You've got to be so careful, because it will throw you off on a couple of corners. Aqua Minerale's real tricky when you're coming in there hot. So I was just trying to keep it together, and I was surprised that at the last pit stop, when I got away a little bit ahead of Gary, because Gary was in front of me before the pit stops, and I didn't think I was going to be able to catch him because he was quicker. But just I'm very excited and pleased.
Well, don't blame you, mate. It's awesome to see. It's always good when, you good guys, you're always up there pushing and you're always trying to get better results. And at the end of the day, it's worked out for you, mate. And it's some solid championship points. Next time out, we go to Monza. We're staying in Italy and we're going to the Draft Fest that is the Temple of Speed. What do you make of going there?
Love Monza. Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. Again, tricky circuit, but yeah, absolutely love it. So I can't wait for Monza.
Well, you and me both, mate, and I really look forward to seeing how you get on there. Is there anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to while we've got you before we go?
Yeah, quick one to my wife, my two kids. Well, they're grown up now, but Duncan and Cameron, and my brother Stuart, who all support me on this. And I suppose I should say Orris Watch for sponsoring me, but I'd really just be congratulating myself since I am Orris Rod.
Well, that's fair enough, mate. It's all good. It's all part of the fun, mate. That's what we love about doing all of this.
Absolutely.
Well, it's great to speak to you, Rob. Awesome result, mate. Really, really chuffed for you. And hopefully we'll see you again getting similar results at Monza. We'll see, will we?
Thanks. Yeah. Thanks very much, Chaz. And great work on the commentary and the broadcast. Brilliant.
Thank you very much, Rob. I just only wish my internet could keep up, but that's for another day. Anyway, I'll see you soon, buddy.
Thanks. Bye.
What a fantastic guy Rob Sharp is. A really good laugh, lovely to speak to, and a strong result to take away from the evening. Of course, the main talking point tonight is the amazing Dominic Brennan. He put in an absolute all-star performance in that one and took his first win of the championship. Gary Tall as well, getting on the podium with some more amazing points. That's what we want to see. Anyway, tonight has been a hell of a lot of fun. I've just realised that throughout this entire thing, yes, I've had music playing and I've had it muted for the entire thing because I'm still not used to using my Stream Deck as well as everything else around me to turn audio on and off. Oh well, it's going to get muted again in a second because it is all we have time for tonight. Once again, I want to apologise for the internet-related issues. Figured out what it was in the end, which is good. However, there are going to be very slow and low bitrate streams coming forward in the next couple of weeks, so I'll apologise in advance for that. But for now, thank you very much for watching, everybody. I've been Chaz Draycott. This has been the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Have a good one.
Opportunistic, still rubbing panels as they go together. It's folded the wing mirror in on Gerardo's car.
Misano is such a difficult circuit for these guys to get right. There's a lot of start-stop sections around the back. It's a very, very quick section as well.
It's a fantastic start from the 23. They're 4 wide there by the look of it.